In the Eddsworld episode Zanta Claws 2, Santa leaves out 3 gifts for Ed, Matt and Tom. A few moments later, when the boys go to confront Zanta, he's surprised that there aren't 4 of them this time, expecting Tord to be joining them again. So, if Zanta was expecting Tord to be there, why did he only leave out 3 gifts?
What are you doing here? Wait, weren't there 4 of you last time?
Oh yeah, Tord left.
Oh, he was my favorite.
A lot of things in Zanta Claws 2 don't make any sense. I love the video and the entire Zanta Claws series, but compared to the first installment, Zanta's actions here seem a little confusing all around. Like, Zanta Claws 1 was nice and simple. A zombified Santa flies around eating the brains of all the naughty boys and girls on Christmas Eve. He tries to eat the Eddsworld boys because of all of the crimes, but the real Santa, no offense, swoops in at the last second to save the day. Compare that to part 2. Zanta's not dead, which had to be clarified to the boys with explosive carolers, so I guess Santa must have hit him pretty hard before. They all survive the explosion, which is apparently a surprise to Zanta, even though he's waiting for them with monitors. And his ultimate plan to stop the boys from saving Christmas is giving them presents. Like, what is Zanta's plan here? Wow them with gifts so amazing that they just give up? And again, he's surprised that there's only 3 of them, even though he never prepared a gift for Tord. And then, without skipping a beat, he proclaims that Tord was his favourite and immediately asks to take his place. Why, oh why, would Zanta want to take Tord's place as the 4th member of the Eddsworld crew? Well, what if I told you that Zanta Claws in this episode is Tord? He died after 25 feet under the seat and took Zanta Claus' place from that episode onwards. If you don't believe me, well, watch until the end and then we'll see how certain you are. For starters, to make this theory work, we gotta accept that Zanta Claus in his first appearance is not the same Zanta Claus as his second and third appearances and whatnot. He died in the fight with Santa, contrary to what the carolers say in part 2. Sometime between 25 feet under the seat and Zanta Claus 2, Tord dies and becomes a zombie, and in doing so he takes up the mantle of Zanta Claus, as a kind of disguise. He grows a beard, dons a new red costume, and acquires some high-tech equipment for his operation. Now think about this. What is the goal of Zanta Claus in part 2 and 3? If you believe what he has to say, he wants to destroy Christmas. That wasn't his goal in part 1. In fact, that would end his chosen career path of eating children. But whatever, motivations can change over time. Another plausible goal? To join or rejoin the Eddsworld boys in their adventures. Cast your mind back to part 2. The so-called Zanta baits them to the North Pole, bribes them with gifts, admits that Tord is his favourite and wants to take his place as a friend of Ed's. Acquiring that much money and filling a swimming pool with cola would take a lot of foresight, not something that he could devise in the short time between the gang arriving in the North Pole and showing up at his door. He definitely knew they were coming before seeing them on the CCTV, and he knew exactly what their hearts desired. Almost as if he's an old friend who knows them well and wants to rejoin them. Only when his advances fail does he show any hostility towards Santa, but never the main guys. In fact, this is what he says immediately after the conversation about the gifts.
Well, how can you defeat somebody you can't recognize?
The grammar here is a little confusing. You assume he's alluding to not being able to tell the difference between himself and Santa, but recognize isn't quite the right word for that. Differentiate, maybe, but definitely not recognize. Well, maybe they don't recognize him. Maybe he's trying to hint to the fact that they don't recognize their old friend. He might even be about to reveal himself as the undead Tord, but he never gets a chance. Zanta does get interrupted a lot in these videos. The poor guy can never get a word in edgewise. Case in point, Zanta Claws 3. At the start of that video, he's trying to team up with Tom. Once again, Tord is using the excuse of destroying Christmas like Zanta would in order to get closer to the Eddsworld guys. With Tom, it's some common ground to start from. Of course, he never gets to tell Tom about that plan, because Tom steals his ship halfway through the speech. Again, this guy can never get a word in edgewise. As luck would have it, he lands right outside Ed's house and has a chance to rejoin the Eddsworld team as a friend. When given half the chance, he even tries on his old red hoodie. A more familiar attire perhaps, or maybe he just wants to blend in, hoping that his old friends will accept his new identity. But then, the unimaginable happens.
Sup, guys?
Sup?
The boys immediately dismiss Zanta's help and turn to Santa Claus, who they've teamed up with twice now. Once again, Tord has been rejected by his old friends in favour of the other guy in red. Not one to be stopped in his tracks, he calls on another old friend, the evil director from Spares. We know for a fact that Tord has been in the same room as this guy. Would it be any surprise if they kept in touch? It'd surely explain Zanta's high-tech equipment. The evil director is surprisingly intelligent, all things considered. He invented a brand new cloning technology to improve his box office revenue and then developed the Boxmas bot van. He could easily have kitted out Tord's house and armed him with laser guns. Or what about the sleigh? Zanta's sleigh in part 1 was quite basic, propelled by undead reindeer and otherwise pre-standard. This new one has rocket launchers and machine guns. We also don't actually see the reindeer up close, only in silhouette. There's nothing to say the reindeer aren't mechanical. Could this be another invention of the evil director? So we're at the Christmas Demolition Showdown. Tord has finally rejoined the cast of 4 characters against a common enemy, and he even goes out on a whim to fight Tom in hand-to-hand combat. And then do you know what happens?
Hey, everyone, aren't they both bad guys?
Shoot the suckers.
Even after all he's done for his old friends, they still see Zanta as the bad guy. There's seemingly nothing he can do to win them over, especially now that he's been replaced. Back in the house, Zanta says this:
I've hated this holiday ever since I died and you took my place.
Took his place as the new Santa Claus? Perhaps, but look at Santa's role in these episodes. He rescues the boys in part 1, they rescue him in part 2, and they team up with him in part 3. Twice in a row, the boys have sided with Santa Claus over their old friend. Tord's place has been taken by Santa Claus. He is Ed's new friend. Disheartened by the whole experience, Tord buries himself until Christmas Adventure. His appearance in that video is short, but we learn a couple of things. Firstly, he's not dead. Secondly, he has plans. And thirdly, well, that's about it. Tom interrupts him yet again and covers him up. That being said, we can infer a few things with the information provided by Christmas Adventure. Firstly, there's the Tom suit. The penguins are completely capable of making lifelike suits, and it's a technology that Tord would have a serious use for if he wants to blend in with the boys. Also, where does Zanta end up? Underground, under the sofa. What else is underground? The giant robot. Who else has access to giant robots? You guessed it, I told you it is all connected. So Tord spends his time underground working with the evil director, who's sure he has magical powers from living down there, developing a giant robot that shoots rockets just like the new sled and the Boxmas bot. This all culminates in the end, where Tord comes back with a plan for revenge. Part 1 of his evil plan, instead of pretending to be Zanta, which his friends rejected, he'll dress as his old self using the disguise technology developed by General Newt in Christmas Adventure. As with before, Tord tries to make friends with everyone, except Tom. On multiple occasions now, Tom has foiled Tord's plans, saving Santa's life, rejecting Tord's offer, and punching him in the face. Getting rid of Tom's genius mind early on will be crucial to executing his revenge, plus it's an extra bit of revenge against him specifically. Everything goes according to plan. He betrays Ed and Matt, kills Tom, and then gives them his final thesis statement.
What would I need friends for when I've got this?
Tord's character arc is finally complete. The episode ends with Tom harpooning Tord a new one, proving that nothing is stronger than the power of friendship except maybe harpoon guns, but Tord survives. Like, he gets out of there with just a bit of damage to the right side of his body. His left arm was freed by the harpoon cutting through his seatbelt, but how did he survive an explosion 100 feet in the air with no other scratches? Well, the same way he survived an airborne explosion the first time. He's not alive at all, he's just a bleeding zombie in a Tord suit. He's joined by 2 other people who've never been seen before. I'm thinking this is Evil Director and Larry in disguise, and Tord goes back to being friendless. This video is being published on April the 1st. This whole theory was a bit of fun for the day of all things fun and silly to see how far I could stretch a new fan theory. You could poke holes in this idea in a million ways and I wouldn't disagree with you. Maybe I'm not giving myself enough credit. Maybe this is actually, an airtight theory. I really did have a lot of fun putting this idea together and rewatching these episodes and just finding all the weird little coincidences. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. That being said, if you really do believe that Zanta is Tord in disguise, or that Tord's a clone, or that he's not a clone, or that he wasn't the Red Leader until after the end, you're allowed to think whatever you want to think, and I ain't got a problem with it at all. I've shouted my death of the author ideology from the rooftops so many times now, but I'm sticking to it. I've gone from not really liking or understanding particular stories to absolutely loving them because I was introduced to a new way of reading the story, or I came up with my own interpretations. I hope that you're able to do the same, applying some literary analysis to works that absolutely deserve a second look. In any case, I want to hear about your personal favourite theories and readings in the comments below. That can be Eddsworld or anything else. I'm personally a big fan of Wendigoon's Black Parade reading and also MatPat's interpretation of Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, but there are so many that I could name right here. Here's just a few that come to mind. Let me know down below and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.